And so today, the phenomenal woman that I want to feature is me, myself, and I. So I wanted to take this time to share a little bit about me. Since we started the show, we have showcased other powerful women. And so I thought that I would share a little bit about who I am so that you'll know who Nicole Mason is. So one of the things I wanted to talk about as it relates to myself is just my journey to where I am today. So I am a native Washingtonian, love Washington, D.C., and I wanted to be an attorney since I was the age of 9. I loved Perry Mason, yes, particularly at the end when Perry Mason would have the witness on the stand and just the series of questions that he would pose would cause the person to confess. So I was always intrigued by Perry Mason. I loved to speak up for others who either wouldn't or couldn't speak up for themselves. I've always been an advocate for what I felt was right, an advocate for justice. And so that's what I wanted to do. Never wanted to do anything else other than be an attorney. And so today I am just that. I'm an attorney in the state of Maryland, and I love the practice of law. I also love to write. So I'm a writer. I'm a published author. And you can check my book out at mondaymorningmotivations.net. That's all one word, mondaymorningmotivations.net. And writing for me has always been very therapeutic. And so what I do is I share my writings with others. And so I love to write. And I also love to speak. I am a preacher by vocation, love the Word of God, and I love to use the Word of God to empower others. Which brings me to our subject matter today, surviving the holiday season after the loss of a loved one. And I have to share with you that this is not just something that I've studied to share with you, but this is something that I have walked out myself. And, grief is very hard, it's very difficult, but it's something that's universal because we all experience the loss of a loved one at some point in time in our lives. And for me, that time came 9 years ago this year in the month of November, November the 2nd. My mom went to sleep and she just did not wake up. She had a heart attack in her sleep, and that was the beginning of the most devastating time in my life. I was an only child, and for those of you who are only children, yes, I am very, very special. And people always say, "Oh, you're spoiled." No, I like to call it loved, just really, really loved. So my mom passed away November the 2nd. She went to sleep and just didn't wake up, as I stated. And I was 8 months pregnant at the time with my third son. And 17 days later, my grandmother passed away. And so needless to say, that was a very devastating time for me. It was devastating. It was difficult. And I really didn't know what to do other than just not do anything at that time. And during the course of my process of processing the grief, I read a lot of different materials. And one of the things that is very, very critically important, and I want to share this with you today, if indeed you are in the midst of grieving, that is not the time to make emotional decisions. That is not the time to make critical changes in your life, because the emotion that's attached to grief can make us do some things that when we come out of it, it's probably not what we wanted to do. So in one particular book that I read, there was a chart that they listed, and they talked about all these different life-altering events happening at one time. And I found myself in that state, losing a loved one, the birth of a child, transitioning in employment. All of those things constitute life-altering decisions. And the one thing that you want to be certain of is that You need to be clear in your thoughts when you're making life-altering decisions. And so for me, during that time, the thing that kept me